evening, everyone. So, here I am, Chakshu, the host for the today's session. I hope you all are well. So, today we have a really amazing session with Harshit sir. He has secured rank 150 in the civil services preparation in 2020. So, he will be joining with us soon. Please be patient.
Am I audible?
Hello, sir. Yes, sir, you're audible. Good evening,
Okay.
sir.
Good evening, everybody.
Welcome to Guide IS. I hope you're doing great.
So,
So,
mhm.
sir, first of all, thank you so much for spending time for us.
Okay, should I start by introducing myself?
So as a wish. Yes, sir.
Okay, so good evening, everybody. I am Harshit Kumar. I am an officer trainee of the IAS batch of 2020. I come from Delhi and I have been allotted the Haryana cadre. So, I cracked the exam when I was 24. I am 25 right now, and it was my second attempt. So, let's move on.
Thank you, sir. And sir, firstly, many, many congratulations to you for your success.
Thank you.
So, sir, let's begin with the questions. So, sir, first question is that you started preparing for the civil services during your college, right? So, sir, who was the motivation during your preparation?
So, see, I come from a college in Delhi called NSIT Delhi. It's called the Netaji Subhash Institute of Technology. So, we had many seniors from our college who started clearing the exam. So, Ira Singhal ma'am was there. So, it is from her and her successors that I and my friends got the initial motivation that yes, we can also do this, and we started studying from our college days itself, the third year we started.
Okay, sir. Sir, like nowadays, aspirants are like too much curious to start the preparation from the college. They don't want to wait for the graduation to complete. But gradually, they're not able to manage it with the college. So, how can they manage it?
See, I don't think that college studies are that much hectic. So it is very doable, given that you can do both of the things. Especially if you're not a doctor, I guess all other streams of knowledge and can be done pretty easily. For example, in our engineering days, we used to study for the exams a week before. So we used to study in classes as well. And after the classes, during the class, we used to study the newspaper. And after the classes, we used to study the very basic books like your NCRTs and Lakshmikant and Spectrum and all these books. So that is how I did it. And I know a lot of people who did it, who cleared it in their very first attempt at very young ages, and it's definitely doable. Yes, you have to manage. You have to give up on some things like your social life. You can't go out on every weekend. You have to dedicate your weekends. Most of your weekends would be dedicated to studies. But yes, it could be done, and people do it.
Yes, sir, like there are sometimes the semester examinations, sometimes the college
Yeah.
functions. So, it's difficult to maintain that regularity.
Yes, it's difficult to maintain that regularity. But how many days do you have exams for? It's for a week, or the fest and all are for like 3 days, 4 days. You can enjoy in those days, I guess. But uh, for the rest of the year, like right now, we have these Corona times, so I think it's a blessing in disguise for people who want to study for the civil services examination, and they are mostly people are sitting at home attending online lectures, so they can very well study, I guess.
That's really true, sir. So, sir, next question is that what should we keep in mind before like starting the preparation and the basic strategy that you follow during the college when you started preparation?
See, the very first thing I'd like to say that be clear that why do you want to join the civil services, and why not the private sector, and why not something other in the government. So you should be very clear about why you started, because this will help you in the longer run when there would be failures, there would be setbacks. Then when you look back and see na, that this is why I started. So that reason, that motivation should be very clear. That this is why I want to do this preparation. Secondly, I think 10 to 15 days should be allotted just to strategize and to make your model that this is how I'll study, this is what I'll study, this is the optional that I'll be studying. If you want to, if I want to attend a coaching, I do not want to attend a coaching. If I want to attend a coaching, this is where I'll do this is where I'll do that. So initial 15 days should be like this, strategizing, and then you can start very slowly by reading the newspapers, by reading the very basic NCRTs, and then progressively as you build your base, you can go to the more the standard books like Lakshmikant, Spectrum, Bipin Chandra, whatever suits.
Thank you, sir. Sir, nowadays, like some students join the coaching institutes along with their college. So after the college, they go to the institute and then come back and then study. So it's a lot of wastage of time. So what do you think about this? Is it a right strategy or not?
Like going to college, then going to coaching, and then coming back.
Yes, yes, sir.
This is with respect to the online initiatives you're having, or this is just a standalone question? I want to ask that.
So offline when everything is like normal, like after the college, you're going to the coaching institute, spending hours there and then coming back. Like, is it okay to join coaching institute along with your college?
Yeah, see, if you want to crack the exam in your very first attempt, you have to realize that nothing worth having comes easy. One has to make sacrifices. One has to do some things that others are not doing. So people do that, and people do clear the exam, and in a way they are more motivated. They are more hardworking, and they get the results. And if it is possible, and if one is able to do that, one is able to be that determined, and yes, it reaps results. Given that I always prefer the online mode more because you have the luxury of seeing it, looking at it at your own ease. You don't spend time traveling. Uh, so yes, it can be done, and people do it. So yes, to each his own. People do it, and people do the other way as well.
Mhm, yes, sir. So, sir, how many hours should one devote to the UPSC on daily basis along with the college?
College, yeah, if it's possible, one can study. I prefer studying in the morning hours, so you can study before you go to college. If you are commuting through your metro or bus or whatever vehicle you use, you can study the newspaper, or you can revise something in that time frame. And then when you go to your college, if you want to study your college things, you can do that. If you can flip out a book and study that, you can do that as well. Have some social time, come back, relax, and then you can study like 3 4 hours every day. I think that would be great if one does that for a extended period of time. I think it's very much possible to clear the exam just after your college.
Okay, sir. This would be really helpful to our viewers. So, sir, next question is that how to deal with the pressure of not sitting in the placements in the college?
See, I was facing a lot of such pressures, and it is a very natural thing to come to all of us. And I succumbed to the pressure. I sat for placements. I got a placement, and then it created a dilemma in my head. And as I'm preaching here, but for myself, I was not very clear with my, what should I go with the placement, or should I go for this very uncertain thing called UPSC? So it again comes down to your clarity of thought. If you are very clear that this is what I want to do, and this is why I started, and this is my end goal. So I don't think that skipping placements should be that big of a problem, and you can always do that. But it's always good if you're not very sure. Like people get a lot of dilemma that whether they should go for that certain placement or that uncertain UPSC. If you're uncertain, you can always go for a placement as well and prepare alongside with your job, and that's a different arena altogether.
Okay, sir. So did you have any backup plans while you were preparing for the civil services?
Yes, yes. I think backup plans are very much appreciated. They are very much. This is an exam where like exam and 700, 800 odd clear the exam, right? So most of the people, due to whatever reason, they do not clear the exam. So it is very important to have a backup. And I also had backup. I could have gone for an MBA or could have given some other government exams and continued with that along with the preparation. I would have given the exams again and again, this UPSC exam. But after I failed in the interview last time in my first attempt as well, and if I would have failed in the interview this time as well, I would have opted for a job.
Thank you, sir, for such an honest answer. So, sir, next question is that if a person is in the college and have to appear for the civil services after like 3 to 4 years, so what should be the strategy to for the current affairs, or should one start making the notes from the newspaper?
If one is choosing to appear for the exam 3 4 years after college,
No. Yes, sir. After college, like suppose a person is in the first or second year and wants to appear for the civil services after 3 4 years. So, what should be the strategy for the current affairs and reading newspapers?
okay, so the person is in the first or the second year, right?
No.
So I think that is very much possible, and I don't recommend making notes from the newspaper, albeit in the first, second year or the third, fourth year. Um, but they can very well, they have a lot of time, they can use their time very wisely to explore things, to read more books, and they can always read the newspaper, supplement it with some other reading material that you get from a lot of institutions. And along with that, you can expand your horizons because you won't be having that time constraint. You would be having enough time to expand your horizons, to read more and more, which would enable you to have a finer and a more depth in the understanding. So what I recommend to them that don't make notes from the newspaper in your first or second year. Just read whatever is happening. Just have an opinion and be a good person. That's it.
So, reading the newspaper would like create a base for you.
Yeah.
Okay, sir. So, sir, as UPSC is a social science oriented exam and you are from the engineering background, so didn't you find it difficult to suddenly switch from the engineering subjects to the social science subjects?
This would have been a problem if I wouldn't have seen the statistics. If you see the statistics of people being selected, then you automatically get the confidence that okay, it is doable. And on the this was on a lighter note, but if you talk about it in the other sense as well, it is not strictly. I think if someone is an art student as well, they specialize in one stream, I guess, geography or sociology, and they have to study the other humanities subjects, right? They have to study science and tech as well. They have to study security as well. They have to study ethics as well. So you are a master if you say that. If you are a master in one place, but you don't know much about the other things which are mentioned in the syllabus. The same is with engineers. So I don't think there is a that disadvantage or advantage with respect to any group of people in this exam, and all of them are equally, more or less equally placed. And if they lack in one, they gain in another.
Definitely, sir. So, sir, according to you, you would suggest aspirants to take to start preparing for civil services along with their college.
Yes, I'll definitely recommend it. I'll 100% recommend it. Even if you don't make it in your very first attempt after your college, you will always you'll always have an upper hand over those who start after college. This is what was told to me by my seniors, by my mentors, and I think this holds true. Whatever you study doesn't go into vain. It helps, and you will have a better base. You'll get things easier. Even if you don't make it in your first attempt, it will make the journey much easier for you.
Okay, sir. So, sir, in the previous attempt, you made it to the interview but couldn't clear the exam. So how was the situation, how you felt, and then finally, how did you start preparing from the beginning again?
See, I'll tell you. See, honestly, it was heartbreaking, and I was at the UPSC Bhavan expecting my name to be in the list. Unfortunately, it was not there, so it was heartbreaking. Yes, it's very natural to feel sad and cry, and I did that. But if you look at the practicality of it, the next prelims was like 53 days away. So I had an option to either cry over it or study. So I decided to put my emotions in a box and study, give papers. So I gave like 70, 75 prelims tests in those 50, 52 days, and I cleared it pretty comfortably. So I think that should be your failure and setbacks are a part and parcel of this exam. It is a rites of passage that you have to get through. You will be sad, you'll feel like you will not be able to make it, but only those people who survive this feeling and keep studying even against these setbacks are the ones who make it. This is what I've seen here. A lot of people here have failed again and again and again, but their perseverance is what made them.
That's really inspirational, sir. So, sir, after the previous attempt, what mistakes did you find and how did you improve those?
Yes, I'll tell you about my mistakes. First of all, this attempt, the first attempt was just after my coaching days, so I was not very well prepared with my optional. And in mains, there is a lot of part which clashes with the prelims part, right? So for me, that was prepared, but a lot of new things that were there, they're like governance and so development and all those topics. I was not very clear with those. So what I knew was that I had to, my main focus during the GS exam was to complete the paper. And completing the paper got me into the interview list, but that quality of answers was missing. So what I did in this attempt was I studied my optional really deeply. My optional was sociology, and I studied it really deeply. And I referred to multiple notes, multiple books, made my own handwritten notes on each topic. So, wo- and in mains, except the topics which were clashing with prelims, all the other topics, I refer to a lot of coaching notes and made very small notes on each of the word mentioned in mains. I had notes on this, and I revised them again and again, and gave a lot of. I gave all the tests of GS and sociology, and that's how the standard I made it.
Okay, sir. So there was one question from the audience that is it necessary to read the NCRTs from the sixth standard?
See, I won't. It. I won't recommend. You can start reading from ninth class
Okay.
onwards. If you have time, like if you're in your first or second year, as we talked, to expand your knowledge, and as you have a lot of time, you can refer to those as well. You know, it won't take a lot of time. You can do one book in a day.
Thank you, sir. So, in the recent times, the trend is changing. Like in the prelims 2020, the current affair portion was less and the static was given more importance. So, how should one make a balance between both while preparing?
But the only thing that is certain about UPSC that is that it will be uncertain. So don't go by any trends. That is bar itna static tha, is bar itna current tha. It will keep changing, and that is what the UPSC does. So I think both of the dimensions, the static and the dynamic portion, the current affairs portion should be given equal importance, and that interlinking is very important. Like if something is in news, like some new excavation related to the this Harappan civilization has taken place in Haryana or somewhere, so you should go back and study those very well. The Harappan civilization, where there's a clash of static and dynamic, there's a very high probability that those questions would come. But obviously, you can't expect a trend in UPSC, especially in prelims. So expect the worst always.
So, one should give the equal time to both.
Yeah.
Okay, sir. So, sir, which topics or portion, according to you, is preferably require the note making? Which topics
Note
require?
making, yes. I think any topic where you don't have a book to support, like polity and spectrum books like those are notes in itself. Everything you want is present over there. So you can very easily underline there as well. But if you have, say, a topic called governance or your optional where knowledge is uh, separated across books, separated across notes, and you would want to consolidate it. So there, that is when your note making should be there. And what the people should remember that the point of making notes is to make your life easier, and that is why notes should be used. That you don't have to refer to 10 books at a time. You can you have all that information in your small copy, and if you and that is when your notes should be made. If you have all your information present in a single book, say Lakshmikant, I don't think that note making is required over there.
Thank you, sir. Sir, as you said that you had sociology as your optional. So how do you take sociology? People used to say that sociology is less as compared to the subjects, and it can be covered easily between like 3 months. So is that true?
Sociology to be covered in 3 months. I think some people I didn't used to believe on uh, this thing that people then they used to say that I have completed my optional in 2 months. But I've seen like very close people very close to me in this academy itself who say that they have completed their optional after they had given prelims. So I didn't. I invested a lot of time in my sociology optional preparation, and but I know people who took just one book. There's a book called by Nitin Sangwan sir. Uh, so they just read that and they scored decent marks in sociology. So I think this to each his own. There are a lot of permutations and combinations in UPSC. Any example you want, you will find it. So that is what is happening here. But I invested a lot of time and energy in sociology.
Okay, sir. So, sir, how many mock papers you have gone through before giving the mains, and how many would you suggest to the aspirants?
See, for prelims, I did around seven. I did three test series from different coaching institutions. For mains, I for GS, I went for the uh, I went for the 12 test series. Three tests for uh, each paper. Like two were for half and one was the full test. And for sociology, I went for 10 tests, five for each paper. And I think it is more than enough in that very small amount of 90 days or so that you get between prelims and main. That is the maximum you could, not the maximum, but that is appropriately enough.
Okay, sir. Sir, and how many mock interviews did you give, and were those
Uh,
helpful?
See, I performed pathetically bad in my last interview, and my interview was the reason that I couldn't make to the final list. And so this time I was extra cautious. I won't recommend. Again, it's a very personal choice. Some people are here in the top ranks who have not given a single interview, but I gave like 15 odd mock interviews because I was very scared because of my previous previous result. So I did around 15 interviews, and yes, they were very helpful to me. The main thing was that I got a knowledge of a lot of questions because in each interview I got a lot of new questions to my head that I could prepare beforehand, and I got the confidence to be able to confidently speak, and that is what I did in the interview as well. Although the interview in UPSC again is very unpredictable, and you can't really expect uh, anything, but you get that confidence and that ability to speak rightly, and that is yes, I'll agree that it helps me.
So it depends from person to person.
Yeah.
Okay. So how was your experience with the interview? What happened in those four walls of the room?
See, mine was Shri B.S. Batsi sir's board, and he asked me some questions related to my. There were some unconventional questions, and there were some questions related to my hobby like photography. Then there were some questions related to my hometown, which was Delhi, and there were some questions that were very random in nature, and they didn't really expect me to answer those, but they just wanted to check my reaction, that how do I react, and that also happened. So, and some questions on some general studies, some factual questions as well. And more or less, it was very unconventional in its nature, but that's how things are. You can never expect.
Okay, sir. Sir, as there is like plethora of information that is available offline as well as online. So how to like figure out which is the best one?
That is again very personal. I think people should go for a very well designed criteria. You should go for things which have been there and which are trusted by a lot of people. I think that is one thing you could check things. That is one of the tick marks. Then you could spend some time looking at different things, different material, comparing them, and you can ask some seniors, you can consult your teachers, and I think they'll be able to help. But what is the most, and I think more or less all these things, materials are more or less equal. More or less they are the same. And what one should not do is to read more than say one or two such things, because then what it does, it confuses the mind and you won't be able to revise, and you should keep your resources to a minimum and revision to the maximum.
So sir, could you please share with us your revision strategy? Like after how many days you do the revision of what you read?
So see, my plan was like in my times, uh, prelims was in June 2nd and June 3rd. So what I planned was that at least 3 months before the prelims, my entire syllabus should be completed, and then only and only revisions. And I started test series in December, like 6 months before. 6 months before my test series started, and 3 months before, I made sure that all my syllabus is entirely complete. No, nothing is left. So then I started revision in March, I guess. March, I guess, and I was giving a lot of papers in those last days. And in the last 15 days, my strategy, in last 15 days, I didn't give any paper. I didn't used to give any paper, because one bad mark in any of the prelims mock test could severely bring down your confidence. So in those 15 days, I tried to revise the whole syllabus 3 times, the whole of the UPSC prelims syllabus. And on the final day, but the day before prelims, I revised all the current affairs of the year. So that is how I did it for prelims.
Okay, sir, thank you. So, sir, could you please tell that how did you spend a day before the exam? Like some people prefer prefer to revise, and some say to be calm and take rest. So, how did you spend that day?
As I told, that the final day was spent just recalling and reading the current affair booklets for the year. So it used to be over. There's a time during like 7 or 6 o'clock in the evening that you know कि अब हो गया है, अब पढ़ने से कुछ नहीं हो सकता, अब जितना पढ़ना था पढ़ लिया. So that is when I used to chill, and I didn't used to study morning the morning, the time before prelims, and I used to study like 6 to 7 p.m. the day before, and then I used to chill, like talk to people, get some chocolates, do some shopping in the local market, get some chocolates for tomorrow, and that is what I did. And I never used to open the book before the actual prelims, the morning.
Okay, sir. So, sir, the last question. Sir, as you are at the training at Lavasana these days, so could you please share with us your experience until now? What new things you learned? How's
Yeah, the experience is great. Now, you will feel that it was all worth the pain. It is just that I'll like to mention that it will all be worth the pain. They'll take The academy is great. The people are greater, and you form links and friendships which last for a lifetime, and everything is good. Like you won't regret. You will turn to learn a lot more than you see that whatever you used to feel. We used to feel that we have learned a lot in our UPSC preparation days, but then we see that it was only the tip of the iceberg. We tend to the lectures here are amazing, the speakers here are amazing, the faculties the best, the pedagogy is the best you can ask for, and they teach us a lot of practical new things, and the fun is great as well.
That's really the amazing answer, sir. So, sir, in the end, any message that you would like to give to the aspirants who are watching you?
Any message? Okay. One was that remember why you started always whenever you feel down, and second would be work, but work smartly. A lot of people work, but a lot of people confuse movement with progress. Just because you are doing a lot doesn't mean you are getting a lot more done, right? And always have some tangible goals in your mind. Just dreams won't work. Dreams without goals would just be dreams. So have a daily goal, a monthly goal, half yearly, yearly goals. So have those.
That's so true, sir. So, sir, in the end, I would like to tell you about our organization, Guide IS. So, sir, Guide IS has been running various NCRT courses free of cost on the YouTube channel. Also, we collect the current affairs from various sources and provide it at just rupees 1 per day. And also, we denote the 65% of it to the needy people. And we are also running one Telegram group. So anyone can join it, and we share the UPSC related material there. So we believe in serving the people.
Great. Okay. Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir, for giving us your valuable time. It was really a wonderful session.
Thank you.